Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the concurrent session of the African American Caucus for Cal Cities. I'm Marla Mateem, and I serve as the Executive Director for the African American Caucus. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Alex Reed, Project Manager of Mapping Black California, as she takes us through the Declaring Racism as a Public Health Crisis dashboard. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Thank you.
So, as you probably know, the COVID-19 pandemic and police brutality have both taken the lives of Black people at disproportionate and unjust rates. In response to this, across the nation, there has been a wave of state and local officials declaring racism as a public health crisis or emergency. These declarations are an important first step in the movement to advance racial equality and justice and must be followed by allocation of resources and strategic action. Mapping Black California, in partnership with the African American Caucus of Cal Cities, has developed a map and dashboard to track and report on the progress of addressing institutional racism in the state of California. So far, 9 counties, 15 cities, and 3 governing organizations have taken the initial step to declare racism and police violence as having a direct impact on the health, economic, and educational outcomes of communities of color. As it stands, only a few of the local governments in California have taken action beyond passing a formal resolution recognizing the impacts of racism on public health. Mono, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Santa Clara County, as well as the cities of Napa, Los Angeles, Palm Springs, San Luis Obispo, and Long Beach, have translated their words into actions by forming committees, appointing equity officers, enacting training programs, all in an effort to directly combat the problems laid out in the racism declarations. Nearly 2 years on since the passing of many of these resolutions, and the majority of California's cities and county officials have still taken no steps to formally address inequality on a government level. Mapping Black California and the African American Caucus of Cal Cities will continue to apply pressure to local governments to act on their promises. Users can interact with the dashboard on the Black Voice News and Mapping Black California websites. This dashboard allows users to find the cities and counties that matter to them and check in on their progress when it comes to these declarations. Users can find the counties and cities that matter to them and click to get more information about the date of the declaration, the type of the declaration, whether it was a formal resolution or a statement, a brief description, and then whether or not the city or county has taken any more steps past that first resolution to go ahead and put action behind their words. For example, the County of Sacramento published their declaration on November 17, 2020, so nearly a year ago. And since then, they have taken no public steps in an effort to reform at the government level. They have no listed equity contact, although you can still view their declaration as well as a brief summary of the promises that they made in said declaration. As you can see in the County of Indio, for example, having passed their declaration nearly a year ago, they have not taken any public steps since then to help reform at the government level. There's no equity contact, although you can still view the published declaration. In a place like Sacramento County, however, or San Bernardino County rather, there is an equity contact, someone you can call in the office to see what their progress has been in the past year. The dashboard lays out which counties and which cities have passed formal resolutions, as well as the governing bodies that have gone ahead and published statements or resolutions talking about their support in the fight for racial equality. If we look towards one that has made a little bit more progress, the city of Long Beach, who passed their declaration over a year ago at this point, has formed a formal committee in an effort to reform at the government level. Their equity contact, Katie Balderas, can be contacted by going to the city of Long Beach's website. Down here we have California Health and Government Organizations with published declarations. Of the 3 published declarations, only one is a formal resolution, and they have pledged over $1 million to promote equitable economic and housing strategies. The other 2 are still awaiting an actual promise to match their words. Users can continue to interact with this and wait for updates. The dashboard will be updated as officials recognize the importance of advancing racial equity across the state.
Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us today and reporting on this data in such a critical moment in our current history.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for tuning into this presentation. We turn it over now to our moderator, Jovan Agee, and guest Dina Walker of Blue Educational Foundation and Vice Mayor of Long Beach, Rex Richardson, to talk about where we are today with these declarations and how our local cities and governments can continue to implement them and support them. Thank you.